Or would you have any blank piece of paper? 5 pieces. Thank you. About 6 o'clock. You don't have to say that.
Gentlemen, really quickly, there is a live stream now live. If you could just double check for me to make sure you can still access it, that would be great. There should be a Canvas stream. Gentlemen, there's a Canvas announcements. I'll be right back.
You have to give it feedback because all you lost is no. Don't start to clean.
It's a link that I've been through
Only tapping. My treat.
That's fine. Whatever you guys do.
We can leave whenever we want.
This guy had to screw. You want to get it. You just walk out the seat.
Yeah, right here on the side.
Want to see a picture of me? I got a picture of
Oh, yeah, that's totally fine. I just need this here. I need Gentlemen, before we get started, I just want to say a couple of things. Ms. Kong has been very kind enough to drop some oranges off. If anyone would like one, you may come up here and grab one.
Oh, that's right.
Gentlemen, we will start at 3:05. We'll start in 2 minutes time. And to get ready for that, if you could please make sure you have either a notebook, or I will let you take notes via your Surface this time, right? But you should not have any phones out, right? I will let folks audio record if they would like. Again, you can still have a live stream. You will have a live stream for you, right? But just know that if you would like to audio record, that's totally fine. Okay. But please have your notebook or some paper out, or if you'd like to take notes via OneNote, you can as well. Okay. But gentlemen, you cannot just sit here. Mr. Jones. You don't need to subscribe to me, gentlemen. You don't need to subscribe.
Cena! Can you put it in my backpack? Just leave it.
Alrighty, gentlemen, the house will come to order. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope all of you are having a good start to your Monday. For those celebrating today, happy Hanukkah. Just a couple of important things before we get going. Number one, welcome into the final exam review session. Okay, like I mentioned just a couple seconds ago. If you are here, you better be focused and on your best behavior. Okay, gentlemen, if I catch any of you gaming in class or gaming while we do our review sessions, you will just be asked to leave. Okay. Please stay focused on the task at hand. I'm carving out 3 hours of my day to make sure that you guys are well prepared for that final exam on Thursday, December 18th for my odd periods, and Friday, December 19th for my even period. So, gentlemen, please make sure that you're respectful of your peers, not distracting them, right? Gentlemen, what we will sort to accomplish or seek to accomplish during the duration of this live stream and this review session is to essentially go through the remainder of the semester, all of the semester, right? We'll start off with Unit 1, capping basics, and then we will jump straight into Unit 2. Okay, we'll start off with Native Americans, go our way down, right? Now, gentlemen, how I've organized this live stream this study session is via our 5 important themes, right? Our first theme 1, is de jure discrimination, otherization, and dehumanization. Theme 2 shall consist of land rights. Theme 3 is immigration, assimilation, and integration. Theme 4 is going to be all about resistance. And theme 5 is going to be about labor and slavery, okay? Gentlemen, we're going to concept map out the entirety of the semester, okay? This will be interactive. So I will ask you, hey, what do you remember about this, right? We're then going to carve out and build the map from there. You're more than happy and more than welcome to eat in class. I know it's after school, it's going to be late. So if you need a snack or whatever, please feel free to just, eat, do whatever you need, take care of yourself, okay? In addition, gentlemen, if you need to leave for whatever reason, you can feel free to leave at any time, right? You can also come back. So for example, if it's something, around 4 to 5, you want to come back from 5 to 6, that's totally fine. We will still be in here. In addition to that, gentlemen, if you need to come in late, or, for folks watching live stream, if you need to come in late, feel free to do that as well. We will be in here, okay? Folks on the live stream, please keep in mind that this is really for just the audio component. It's going to be very difficult to see based on how and where we sort of move each of the laptop itself recording this and doing the live stream. It's going to be really hard to see the actual text on the wall and on the board. So to that extent, I will take pictures of everything before I erase everything and put them on Canvas and files. You will have access to those, and you will have access to those pictures that we did today in the final exam review session. You can watch that in sync with the audio if you would like. But again, for those who are on the live stream, this is really for audio only. You can follow along, but it will be a little difficult to see what the actual pictures and words are. So I will put a picture of that on Canvas. Any questions before we begin this final exam review session? Any questions? All righty, let's get test. Are folks able to hear us? Folks back now? Okay. Alrighty, folks, if I could please have your attention. We are back to it. Alrighty, gentlemen, just a couple of things. Let's talk a little bit about Unit 1. Right? Unit 1 was all about identity. Right? All about identity. Right? Can someone remind me right? What are some things about identity that are important? We've got two important terms, right? We've got some different parts of our identity, right? Anyone remember what parts they were? Let's start off with Hudson.
So I'm kind of blanking now. I remember there was stuff about like personal traits, like the
Yes.
like hair, physical traits too, and your ethnicity, your race, your nationality.
Yes, good. Break that down even further. Sean. Yes. There are chosen identities, right? These are identities that you want to associate with, gentlemen. Choose. Gentlemen, what are some examples of chosen identities? Examples of chosen. Jameson.
Playing a sport.
Yeah. Sport. Emerson.
Hobbies.
Hobbies, good. Three more. Kevin. Passions. Two more. Drew. Religion. Nicholas Catabell. Friends. Very good, right? So those are all examples of things that you can choose to associate with, right? Very good. Gentlemen, what's the other one that you perhaps can't choose to associate with? What's that one called? Jake? Assigned identity. You cannot choose to associate with. What are some examples of assigned identities? Assigned identities. Yeah. Gender is, I would actually argue gender is much more chosen, right? Gender is how you choose to express yourself, right? Do you remember the other one? Not gender, but
Skin color.
oh, skin color. I can make that assigned. What else? Spottish. Sex, right? That's the difference, right? Sex is much more assigned, right? Much more rigid. It's what you were born as, right? Intersex, male, female, right? Phoenix. Race. What else, Leora?
Where you're born from?
Yeah, where you're born.
Your nationality.
What's the last one? What's one more? Nate? Age, right? Yeah, you can't choose. You can't say you're a different age, right? Very good. So, gentlemen, these are all assigned identities. There is also one more. Gentlemen, there's one more. Ethan? No, I'm not asking for an example, but one more type of identity. We've got chosen, assigned, and Henry?
Is it like, is it shared?
Shared. Shared identity.
I was gonna say that, bro.
Everyone there in the box right
Are we just very happy that you're in the final exam review session? Is that what's going on here? Gentlemen, shared identities are identities that we have in common with each other. Gentlemen, what are some examples of shared identities for everyone in this classroom? Rion? Yep, anyone identify as not male? Noah? Very good. We all go to Bellarmine. What else? What else, gentlemen? What else? Connor? You're all, anyone sophomores? Yeah, you're all Frosh. Right, two more. I will take Rudy. Yeah, around 13 to 15 years old. Alex.
in California.
Anyone not live in California? Last one. Yes, Savon.
We all take take ethnic studies.
Yeah, we all take ethnic studies. Now, gentlemen, if I could please have your attention. Gentlemen, keep in mind, right, that what also matters quite a bit, gentlemen, what matters quite a bit is how chosen, assigned, and shared identities sort of mix, right, with each other. Or there's a word we have for that. Does anyone remember the word that I'm thinking of?
I know the word. I got it wrong in the first test.
Eric. Yeah, very good, right? Gentlemen, we've got intersectionality, right? Intersectionality is what? Can someone tell me? What is intersectionality? What is intersectionality? Samuel.
I know the better answer.
Little louder, Samuel, a little louder.
Part of two identities.
Ooh, close but not quite. Jessamine?
When the aspects of multiple different identities interact with each other.
Wait.
I'll show a better one.
Gentlemen, intersectionality is how different parts of your life, different parts of your identity, interact with each other to create different life experiences, right? So, gentlemen, for example, right? Someone who is, right, black, rich, and disabled has a very different life experience, right, than someone who is Asian, poor, and able-bodied, right? These two people have very different experiences, right? And so as a result, right, you want to make sure that you understand this idea of what it means to have different identities with each other, right? Different identities with each other. Very good. All right, gentlemen, let's keep on going, right? We also, gentlemen, in Unit 1 talked a little bit about how race, right, was created. Does anyone remember? There was some sort of caste system. Does anyone remember what it was? Liam. Yeah, can you sort of describe, we've got the Spanish caste system, right? Right, we've got the Spanish caste system. Anyone remember who was at the top, who was at the bottom? Let's go, Rudy. Yes, but more specifically, who?
People who went out to travel.
Need more specificity, Alex.
The Peninsulares were Spanish or Italian.
Very good. You had Peninsulares, those who are white, right, from Spain. What else did we have? Or who else did we have? Logan. Creoles, right? These were the children of Peninsulares. Gentlemen, who was at the bottom? Arnav. Those who are black? Who was right above the black slaves? Right above the black slaves. Right above. Diego?
Native Americans.
Yes, natives. Gentlemen, who was in the middle? Who was in the middle? Beckett? Mulattoes and who? Mestizos. Who was at the upper half? Mestizos were in the upper half. Those who are mestizo, those who are mulatto. Gentlemen, those who are mestizos, they're biracial. From which two groups? Which two groups? Yes. Mestizos.
Whites and Native Americans.
Yes. White and native. Those who are mulattoes, what biracial group are they a part of? What biracial group are they a part of? Orvan? Yes, those who are white and those who are black. Right? Gentlemen, can someone explain why this system is problematic? Why is this problematic? Indeed it was. So why is it problematic? Why is it problematic? Tane. Yes, but that's not why it's so problematic. I need why it's so problematic. Why does it fail? Why does it fail? I will take Luca.
Because when people from different parts of the caste system mix beyond where the caste system can place them, and they have to base where they rank on something different, and now turns into stigma.
Very good, gentlemen. It cannot account for those who are biracial or multiracial, or sorry, triracial or multiracial, right? So, for example, if a mestizo and a mulatto have a child together, right, that means that at the end of the day, that child is half white, a quarter Native American, a quarter black, right? It is very difficult, right, to categorize them based on this particular category, right, the system. And as a result, Luca's exactly right. We don't default to the caste system anymore. We default to what? Skin color, right? Right, very good. Now, gentlemen, right, in the Spanish caste system, we also start to see more Enlightenment era reasoning, right? Does anyone remember how the Enlightenment gets brought into play? How does the Enlightenment get brought into play? The Enlightenment, how does it get brought into play? Adi, how does the Enlightenment get brought in?
Like they use kind of science to like justify their reasoning for racism. Like, for example, they once said that white people were smarter since they have to live in cold temperatures, which is weird.
Very good. We have the Enlightenment era that sort of basically said, hey, right, at the end of the day, right, we have a natural hierarchy to categorize individuals. Enzo, feel free to take any seat or sit on the floor. Just grab something. Right? Now, gentlemen, here's the problem, right? The problem with that logic, right, is that it says that they can also categorize individuals in a natural hierarchy, right? Just like how we can categorize individuals in a natural hierarchy for science, right? We can also categorize individuals in a natural hierarchy, right, for individuals, right? So they had people who were white placed above those who were black, right? Samuel? Yes, pseudoscience, right? Very good, right? That was sort of that BS science that was made up to justify these racial hierarchies, right? Anshuman?
Oh, wasn't it also because of reification, like bringing you an idea of black?
I was just about to say, gentlemen, in Unit 1, we learned about this term called reification. What does reify mean, or to reify? What does that mean? Reification, what does that mean? Reification. Marco. Yep. Making the abstract concrete. Excellent. Right? Now, gentlemen, we also talked a little bit about three important terms, right? We talked a little bit about three important terms, right? We've got race, we've got ethnicity, and last but not least, we have nationality. Now, gentlemen, I want us, if we could, just briefly explain what each of these things are based on. What are each of these things based on? Got race, ethnicity, and nationality. What are these three things based on? Diego.
Wait, I have to do race?
Just whichever one.
Isn't it race like skin color, like skin color? All that.
Even more broad.
Like physical features and all that.
Physical features. Right? Physical traits, physical features. Examples. We've got skin color. What else we got?
Eyes. Hair type. Eye colors. Nose. Hair type.
Right? Very good. Gentlemen, what about ethnicity? Can someone tell me, what is ethnicity based on? Ethnicity.
Oh.
What is ethnicity based on? Mr. Ruckus.
Culture.
Very good. Ethnicity is based on your culture.
Ow!
The live stream is on, by the way. Gentlemen, that was carded. Sure. Gentlemen, last thing. What does nationality refer to? Nationality. Timothy. Yes, citizenship. Did you also have a question? Yes. Unfortunately, there are not. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Nate.
What about like for people who like say like they live in the United States but like they're not citizens, but they get their nationality is like the United States.
So two things, right? Gentlemen, two things, right? Nate asked a very good question. What happens if you're like, let's say, not a U.S. citizen, but you've only known this country like as your place, right, for your entire life, right? So two things. One, under the strict definition of nationality, unfortunately, it strictly refers to citizenship, right? But at the same time, you could say that your country of origin, right, the country that you call home, right, that would be, that you can consider yourself, say, American, right? Now, gentlemen, we also talked a little bit about something called the census. The census. What does the census do? Why is that important? Something about the U.S. Census. What is that? Why is that important? I will take Luke.
It counts for people in the U.S. to see like what the just like see different people's race and ethnicity that live in the U.S.
Very good. Gentlemen, I want you to take 30 seconds, discuss with your elbow partner or those around you. What might be a problem with the U.S. Census? What might be a problem with the U.S. Census? What happens if we undercount folks? Go ahead. You want to move that? That's over here.
Where do I get a white chair from? Wait.
Gentlemen, last thing I want to sort of talk, last two things I would like to talk about from Unit 1, right? We talked about some things, we talked about biracial, right? Gentlemen, by being biracial means that you are part of two different races or more, right? Multiracial, if you're different races, right? Gentlemen, what might a struggle be for those who are multiracial? What might a struggle be for those who are multiracial?
The Korean lady.
Esteban.
It's hard to choose like which part of them they want to be.
It's hard for them to pick one particular side they might not feel at home, right, Henry?
Wait, what was the question?
Get out. Timothy. Yeah, right. You might get racism on both sides of your family, right, Rudy? Yeah. Shh, gentlemen, I'll just ask you to leave if we're off task.
Well, they might be like one race might treat that way, but at like school or like in public areas, they might be treated for their other race.
Yeah, very good, right? They might be treated differently as a result of being biracial. Luke, last one.
Not being able to fit into a singular race.
Yeah, not being able to fit into a singular race, right? The last thing I want to talk a little bit about are stereotypes. Gentlemen, how are stereotypes formed? Stereotypes. How are they formed?
Very weird.
I will take Javion.
So it's based on the true part of a small part of the experience to expand it onto the entire part.
Yeah, we apply something that's true to one person to the whole ethnic group. Right? So we take something that might be true for one person and one person only, we apply that to everyone who is a part of that group. Right? Henry?
Well, I have a question. Could you
Yes.
say that race was created because the caste system failed? Because, like, then it led to more people, like, trying to...
Yes, you can make that argument. Absolutely. Right? Now, gentlemen, right? Gentlemen, can stereotypes be positive, or can they be negative, or can they be both? Both, right? There are positive and negative stereotypes, right? Right, Diego? You may say an example of a positive stereotype.
Black people are held athletic.
Yes, very good, right? Another good positive stereotype, those who are Asian are really good at math, right? Right? Gentlemen. Now here's the thing. We also know, right? We also know that those places, right? Places like California, like different cities like San Jose, they also have their own identities, right? So keep that in mind, that it's not just people who can have identities, it's also places as well. Okay? Alrighty, gentlemen. This concludes Unit 1. I will go ahead and take a picture of this. Okay? Alrighty. Gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Gentlemen. Oh, crap. I'll send it to everyone.
Mr. Lou, do you have any more pictures? May I have some more?
It's right over there, JD.
Wait, where's it?
Big paper thing.
No phone.
That's it. John, that is
You know, like plants.
Can you like make sure like my backpack is ready?
You can check this one.
Oh, I'm sitting on it. I mean,
Alrighty, gentlemen. We are now in line after that, Unit 1. We are now in line to start Unit 2. Now, here's the thing. Unit 2 is where the bulk of this exam is going to be.
okay.
Oh, wait. Now, here's the thing. Gentlemen, here's the thing. 1, keep in mind that these are based off themes, right? We've got theme 1, which is de jure discrimination, otherization, dehumanization over there. In the middle, we have theme 2. We have theme 3, immigration, assimilation, and integration here. On the back, we have theme 4 about resistance and theme 5, labor and slavery on the back of a board, right? Now, here's the thing, gentlemen, that I want to make incredibly and painfully clear. Number one, please keep in mind that 2 of the themes will show up on the exam at random. 2 of the themes at random. You need to be sure that you are ready to go on all 5 of the themes, okay? It should be pretty straightforward. Right? Unit 2 is going to be pretty big, right? So you need to make sure that you nail down those important concepts, those important laws, and those important ideas, okay? How we're going to run through this, gentlemen, is we're going to create a huge concept map on the board. It's going to be a huge concept map, okay? If you'd like to take notes via an outline format, please feel free to do that. If you want to just, take a look at the concept map and go from there, that's totally fine too, okay? Second thing, gentlemen, if I could make sure that in the back I have space, I need to walk up and down, right, in the middle, and I need to make sure I write on the board. So if you're in the back, if you could scoot off to the side so that I have enough space to write on the board, please, okay? Gentlemen, what we're going to do is we are going to start off with our first unit or first chapter, all about our lovely, lovely Native Americans, right? Now, gentlemen.
What's unit 2 called?
History and migration.
Okay.
Now, gentlemen, the biggest thing, right? We started talking a little bit. Gentlemen, we started talking a little bit about some perceptions of Native Americans, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to start writing those perceptions down on this blue part of the board here, since we are talking about otherization, dehumanization, and de jure discrimination, right? So, to that extent, right, gentlemen, what are some examples, and gentlemen, I'll need to write here, so you could either tilt this way, you might pile up over there. Gentlemen, what are some examples and perceptions about Native peoples? No, just general perceptions. Native Americans, perceptions of natives. I would like to hear from. Mateo.
They're like uncivilized.
Uncivilized. Savage. Right? Beckett. Pagan. What does it mean to be pagan, Beckett?
Not believing in the Christian race for them. Christian religion.
Yeah. Not believing in God. Right? Not believing in God. Right? That's what it means to be a pagan. Phoenix. Cannibals. Henry? Or sorry, not Henry, Ryan.
savages.
Yep, we got that. Anything else? Just win.
Because like a kind of like a story, they thought they would skin like the people alive.
Yeah, they were cruel. Right? Adi.
They were marked by God.
Marked by God to be what?
Black.
Black, right? Darker skin. Babish? Yeah.
That's a big boy word.
Remember what libidinous means, Babish?
Eager to engage in intercourse.
Yeah, eager to have sex, right? Very good. Very lustful, right? Now, gentlemen, we often saw that these ideas were very similar to what other ethnic group? They were compared to what other ethnic group? They were compared to what other ethnic group? They're compared to what other ethnic group?
We should do a 3, 2, 1.
I will take Tommy.
Black.
Those who were black and those who were
Irish.
Diego? Irish. Yes. They weren't, but many of them were viewed as pagan, even though they were Catholic. They were viewed as savage and
Like, even I got it.
Now, gentlemen, order, gentlemen. At this point, what I wanted to do is I want to transition to talking a little bit about what the realities were, right? So we have perceptions of natives versus the realities, right? And under these realities, right, there were two different groups that we talked about, right? We had the Powhatans, and gentlemen, we had the Wampanoags. Right? We've got the Powhatans and the Wampanoags. Gentlemen, can I have someone tell me, what are some things that these two groups had in common with each other? What are some things that these two groups, right, did with each other? Right? What are some things that happened between these two groups? I will take Stefan.
They were both hunters and gatherers.
They were both what?
Hunters and gatherers.
Yes, they were. Very good. They were hunter-gatherers. What else were they? Ajman?
Both of them had wars with like a foreign civilization.
Yeah, they had wars with the English. What else? Adam.
They were agricultural.
Yeah, they were absolutely agricultural. Does anyone remember what they grew? All right. The three sisters, which were consistent of what?
Corn, beans, and squash.
Corn,
something, squash.
Beans, and squash. Very good. Right? Corn, beans, and squash. Right? They actually also had, gentlemen, calendars. And they did something with the crops. What was it? Not sharecropping. Eric? What? Yes, but there's a specific term. Crop what? Crop, Nate? Crop rotation. Crop rotation. Just plop down, Dane. Anywhere. Yes. It was where you took Gentlemen, crop rotation. Can anyone describe what crop rotation was? What was crop rotation? Russian?
You wouldn't plant crops on the same land every year because then you would take out the soil. You would just do different parts of the land.
Yeah, very good, right? You wouldn't plant the same type of crop over and over again. You wouldn't plant the same crop over and over again. You would plant, gentlemen, crops and rotate them out, right? So, for example, you plant corn primarily in one season, and then you would rotate out the other crops, whichever crop you planted next, right? So, for example, you plant corn for season number 1. For season number 2, you would plant beans, right? Season number 3, you plant squash, right? So on and so forth. Emerson. These are all examples of things that the Wampanoags and the Powhatans would do, right? Different ideas of land ownership, right? Now, gentlemen, you know that the Europeans and the Native Americans had different justifications of taking and understanding land rights. Can I have someone tell me what are some examples? What are some examples of how Europeans viewed or looked at the land? How Europeans viewed or looked at the land. Liam.
They should use to grow like cash crops to get a profit, like tobacco and cotton.
Cash crops, right? Land is to be profited. Right? So you've got tobacco and we've got cotton. Right? Land is to be made for profit. How else is land usage justified? How else can we take some land? As the European said. Go a little deeper. Ivan.
They put like plagues and smallpox, right? God is telling us that the natives should go.
Very good, gentlemen. Smallpox made the argument that God is on our side. God is clearing out the land for us to use, right? What else? What other examples of land justifications were there for natives? Or sorry, for Europeans. Excuse me, for Europeans. Okay. Blood on the soil. Do you remember what event caused that?
Jamestown Massacre.
Very good. The Jamestown Massacre, right? Blood on soil, right? Therefore, it is ours, right? Very good. Gentlemen, I want to jump down to our Native Americans. How did they view the land? Right? We've got cash crops. We've got plagues and smallpox, right? Jamestown Massacre, blood on the soil, right? These are land justifications. Right? How did natives view the land? Owen.
They thought of it like as something to like protect, like keep it sacred.
Right? It was something to protect, something that was sacred, right? You think you own whatever land you land on. The earth is just a dead thing you can claim. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name. How else is native land viewed? Mr. Baker.
They believed in like animism or like every little thing in the land has a spirit, basically?
Yes, very good. They believed in animism, that everything had a spirit, that everything had to be respected, right? Very good. Anything else? Anything else? Emerson? Yes, right? Land is to be shared, right? Can it be owned, gentlemen? Yes or no? No. Adam?
Didn't the natives fight over land though?
Arguably, yes. Ironically, yes. Yes.
Ah, man.
Jamie?
They viewed the land as something actually important to their identity and not something to use for money.
Not for profit, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen, we also, right, in addition to talking a little bit about different examples of farming, right, from the Wampanoags, right, we also knew, right, that there was one more land justification, right? Jamestown Massacre, plague and smallpox, cash crops, right? The Europeans also blamed the Native Americans for being what?
Lazy.
Looking for hands, Audie. Jake?
They thought they were lazy because they weren't using the land, like they were farming on the land. It was just like hunting and gathering on the land, and they thought that they didn't deserve the land because of that.
Very good. They were lazy and they had no work ethic, right? That was another example, right, of how, right, we see these land rights. Now, here's the thing. Gentlemen, did the Native Americans just sit there and take it when their land was being taken? Yes or no?
No.
No. Gentlemen, I want to take a second and talk a little bit about two important wars. Where I'm going to come back over here, right? Gentlemen, there are two important wars that took place as a result of these land conflicts. Which two?
Mr. Davis is not proud. You do too much.
Gentlemen, in addition to King Philip's War, we also have one more war. What is that war? King Philip's War and one more war. Which one?
Everything about this story.
Alex? The Pequot War, right? Gentlemen, does anyone remember? What are some effects as a result of King Philip's War and the Pequot War? Right? What were some things that happened as a result? What were some things that happened? Arvon.
The English used their blood on the land to justify
Yep, they used it to justify killing those who are natives, right? Luca.
Because the English won both times, the natives were absolutely decimated after
Yes.
both of those.
Populations of natives decrease substantially, right? Right? Their numbers get decimated. Their numbers drop down substantially, right? Gentlemen, who put 3 late checks on the board?
Come on, we can have the third one. We're already having a
Gentlemen, the one big conflict, or the one big effect that happens, right, is the populations of Native Americans decrease substantially. Right, there's a huge drop in the number of Native Americans particularly in New England, as a result of the Teapot and the King Philip's War, right? And so as a result, gentlemen, were either of these wars successful, yes or no, for the natives? No. No. Timothy. Yeah, very good, right? They fought back because of land, right? And they fought back because they didn't want to convert to Christianity. Right? Very good. Excellent. Now, gentlemen, what I want us to do now is I would like us to keep on going, right? Gentlemen, in the last sort of little bit of our Native Americans chapter, we focused a little bit on an important document written by Thomas Jefferson. Does anyone remember what document that was? An important document written by Thomas Jefferson. I will take Kevin. You're welcome. Very good, right? Now, gentlemen, what we have is Jefferson's 1803 confidential message to Congress, right? Now, gentlemen, there were two important ways that Jefferson said that he would take land away from those who were natives, right? There are two ways. Can someone tell me what were these two ways? Method number one, method number two. Method number two is a little bit more complex. Can someone tell me method number one? Ty? Or do you want to talk about method number two? Forgot? It's okay. Let's go. Can I have Owen?
I don't remember if it was one or two. I'm pretty sure one of the ways like get them hooked on like goods.
Yes.
So that they go broke. I don't remember which one that was.
That was number two. Hooked on goods. Right? What goods in particular, gentlemen?
Luxury.
Eric? Yeah, domestic goods. Get them hooked on domestic goods. What are we then going to do to the prices of those domestic goods, gentlemen? Gentlemen, if you cannot pay an item, what do you have to do? Loan. Gentlemen, what do you have to put down as collateral? Land. Very good. And gentlemen, after you put down the land as collateral, gentlemen, right? What happens when you cannot pay back that loan? They take your land. Very good. Gentlemen, does anyone remember the other way that Jefferson said that he wanted to use to take land? The other way? Anjuman?
It was like switching from like more nomadic hunter-gathering to farming.
Very good. Right? They wanted them to switch to farming. Right? Switch to farming. Stop hunting. Right? Right? Stop hunting, switch to farming. Right? Very good. Gentlemen, that essentially sort of concludes, right, our Native Americans chapter. I want to now take a second to move on to our next chapter. Does anyone remember? Oh, actually, take that back. Let's actually continue by actually connecting our Native American chapters together, right? So after we have our Native American theme. Gentlemen, we also have American, right? So after Jefferson's confidential message to Congress, we also have another American president that is very much in line of trying to take Native American land away. Does anyone remember the name of this president? Hudson? Andrew Jackson.
Also wrong segregated Also wrong.
Now, gentlemen. Oh wait. Gentlemen, Andrew Jackson, right, was our nation's 7th president. He was very much a hero of the Indian Wars, right? Right, he was someone who was incredibly cruel towards Native Americans, and he supported a law. Does anyone remember which law he supported? Okay.
The Indian Removal Act.
Very good. Gentlemen, does anyone remember what this law said? The Indian Removal Act. Babish.
Basically relocated the Native American tribes to like the Midwest region, like
Very good. Gentlemen, the Indian Removal Act, right, pushed natives west of the Mississippi River, right? It pushed natives west of the Mississippi River into what current day state? Oklahoma.
Where they were pushed down for oil.
Also very true, Audie. Very true. Now, gentlemen, despite all of this, right? We actually had, some pushback from courts, right? In fact, I will talk a little bit about that back over there in resistance, right? Gentlemen, there are brackets. Hey! You guys want to join my... Gentlemen, I want to take a second and talk a little bit about a form of resistance through a Supreme Court case, right? We've got 2 wars, right? But we also have a Supreme Court case, right? Does anyone remember the name of this court case? That's not what I'm looking for. Something about the Cherokee. Black belt. That's tough. Arna versus Georgia. Right? Gentlemen, does anyone remember what the Supreme Court said in Cherokee Nation versus Georgia? Enzo. Nicholas? Yes. Cherokee were a sovereign nation. And do? And our phone friend?
What? Yeah.
Very good, gentlemen. Gentlemen, remember that one way that Native American tribes, right? One way that Native American tribes, right, had their sovereignty undermined was because people like Andrew Jackson recommended push for states, right? Push for states to essentially, right, pass laws that would undermine their sovereignty, right? They'd basically be like, hey, Georgia passed laws that would literally stop Native Americans from being sovereign nations, right? They would do that, right, in an attempt to undermine their sovereignty. The Supreme Court said in Cherokee Nation versus Georgia that was not okay. That the Cherokee were sovereign nations and that their laws would have to be followed, right? Very good. Now here's the problem, though. Gentlemen, yes or no? Was that Supreme Court decision enforced? No. Right? Andrew Jackson. Gentlemen, as you know, right, Jackson very famously says, hey, if the Supreme Court wants to enforce the law, they figure it out, right? In other words, gentlemen, Jackson does Jack. Yep. He literally doesn't do anything. He does not protect the Native Americans at all, right? He doesn't do anything to help them, right? Now, gentlemen, one of the things that ends up happening to native lands is an important treaty. Does anyone remember the name of this treaty? We've got Andrew Jackson. The Treaty of what? I will take Liam. Yeah, Dancing Rabbit Creek, right? Gentlemen, does anyone remember the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek? Which Native American tribe did it affect?
Cherokee?
Not the Cherokee. Raise your hand. I will take Savon. No. Javion? Never mind. Aaron? The Choctaw. Right? In fact, the Indian Removal Act affected 5 different tribes. Does anyone remember which 5?
Choctaws, Wampanoag,
Raise your hand, man.
Arvon? The Cherokee? Kevin? The Seminoles?
Andrew Jackson.
Alex? The Creek? 2 more. Audie?
the Wampanoag.
No.
Choctaw.
Yes.
Thank you.
1 more. Ethan? Chickasaw. Very good. Right? Now, gentlemen, let me jump back to the Choctaw for a second, right? The Choctaw had 2 choices under the Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek. What could they do?
Nothing.
They had 2 options. Hunchman? Or sorry, Avi?
They could stay in the land,
Or
they have to leave and like get a little sum of money.
so they could leave past the Mississippi, right? Or they could do what? They could stay and do what? Jake?
They could apply for a land grant. That'd be very expensive. You'd have to pay for lawyers to help them get the land grant.
And the lawyers could be easily tried.
Right, gentlemen. Gentlemen, So in other words, you had two choices. You could either leave west past the Mississippi, or you could stay and apply for a land grant. Gentlemen, as Jake mentioned, that land grant, super expensive, and you would have to pay for loans and lawyers, which meant that if you got, right, that land grant, if you got that land grant, gentlemen, what's going to happen to you? Are you going to be able to pay back that loan?
No.
And what's going to happen to your land? Gets taken, right? Now, gentlemen, all of this, right, leads to a journey to Oklahoma. What was that called? Tommy. Trail of Tears, right? Right? The Trail of Tears, right? Now, gentlemen, we also have, right? We also have another treaty that affected the Cherokee. Does anyone remember the name of a treaty that affects the Cherokee? You are? Yes. The Treaty of New Dakota. It was literally in the PowerPoint. Guys, it was there. Gentlemen. Oh my gosh. What are these?
Wait, can I see that? Can I check that?
No.
You said that.
No, I didn't. We're still at 11.
Hey, that's a jug I think.
Gentlemen. Yes, we gotta lock in. Gentlemen. The Treaty of New Dakota, right? The Treaty of New Dakota. It affected the Cherokee. The Treaty of New Dakota, ECHOTA, right?
Are you expected to know that?
Why do you think he's saying it? There you go.
Now, gentlemen, here's the thing about the Treaty of New Dakota, right? The Treaty of New Dakota. The Cherokee were made up of different tribes, right? Right? Or different sort of chieftains. Gentlemen, there's a chieftain that screws over the entire community. How? There is a Native American Cherokee chieftain that screws over the entire community. How? Rian? No. Roshan?
He basically sells all of Cherokee. Land for like $10 million without the other chieftain's consent.
Yes. John Ridge screws over.
Everyone, name,
Yeah.
Wait, was this man
Gentlemen, at the Treaty of New Dakota, right? John Ridge screws over the Cherokee by signing over all of the land rights. Yes, Anshman.
Was the American name John F. Schermerhorn?
Yes, the American commissioner, the land commissioner, was J.F. Schermerhorn, right?
How did you get his name from?
Yes, Armand.
How's the name John? How does that make sense?
Remember that because the Cherokee are one of the 5 civilized tribes, many of them have adopted or converted to Christianity. Many of them have changed their names to sound more American, right? So John Ridge, a chieftain, right, screws over the Native Americans here, right? Now, here's the thing, gentlemen. Here's the thing. We also learned a little bit during this unit about this movement on West, right? This movement on West. We also took a look at why there was a certain food source for Native Americans, that was super important. Does anyone remember what that was? Right?
That one was sweet. That one has like all this rules. Yeah. The other one has
Oscar? Very good. Now, gentlemen, when we talked about the bison, right? When we talked about the bison, we focused a little bit on methods, right, in which the Native Americans, right, used the bison as a food source, right? We talked a little bit about how this was a natural resource for them. They literally used every single part of the bison, right? Every single part. Now, here's the thing. The bison for the Americans, on the other hand, was viewed as what?
demons to the Australians.
They were viewed as, Alex?
Like obstacles almost. I don't know how to word.
Very good. Right?
Hey, you gotta get it ready. They actually need to win the animal.
Gentlemen, for Americans, they viewed the bison as obstacles for expansion. Right? In fact, right, many of the Native American tribes, particularly the Pawnee and the Sioux, which relied on bison for food, right? And the Sioux, X-I-O-U-X, the Sioux, relied on bison for food, right? But they were viewed, right, very much as obstacles for expansion for the Native Americans, or for the Americans. Now, gentlemen, there's one important thing here, right? And that connects, right, to railroads, right? Right? The Americans wanted to expand westward. They wanted to take railroads and expand railroad westward, right? Now, gentlemen, they passed a law, an important law, that screwed the natives over, particularly with the railroads. How? Jameson?
Indian Appropriation Act.
Very good.
No
Wait, I think probably the Indian Appropriation Act. Like, it's for bison and railroad. Would it make more sense to call it the Railroad Act?
Gentlemen, you've got the Indian Appropriation Act of 1871. The Indian Appropriation Act of 1871. What did that law say? What did that law say? What did that law say? Henry?
Temporary native nations sovereignty.
Yes.
And it made it so that the U.S. didn't have to like do treaties with them. It could just ignore whatever they said to build their own.
Very good. Gentlemen, at this point, right, after the Indian Appropriation Act, natives are no longer sovereign nations. The Indian Appropriation Act says Native Americans are no longer sovereign nations. So, gentlemen, if they're no longer sovereign nations, if they cannot make their own laws, do we have to ask them for permission to use their land? Yes or no? No. Right? So, gentlemen, natives are no longer sovereign nations. Yes. No need to ask for permission to build on land. No need to ask for permission to build on land. Yes, Emerson. After this passed, they were considered pseudo sort of citizens, second-class citizens, certainly. they would eventually become citizens, but they were tribal members first. The Americans viewed them as tribal members first. Gentlemen, last thing I want to talk a little bit about here is a little something, right, called reservations. Anyone remember what a reservation is? Anyone remember what a reservation is? Kingston? Very good. Because natives were viewed as obstacles, they were put onto reservations. They were put onto reservations, right? Now, here was the problem, gentlemen. Here was the problem, right? I want to take a second to talk a little bit about a form of resistance. Right? So we've got the Pequot War, we've got King Philip's War, we've got the Cherokee Nation, right? But another form of resistance that Native Americans had, particularly in the Great Plains, was when they would don on a very special sort of shirt. They would wear a very special sort of shirt, and they would participate in a ceremony. What was that ceremony called? Marco, the ghost dance, right? Very good. So, gentlemen, I want to talk a little bit about the ghost dance, and I want to talk a little bit about a man called Sitting Bull, right? Yes, Adam.
Was the ghost dance kind of inspired by like maybe like the Protestant Christian ideas that were in America at the time?
Yes.
It sounds like a sort of messiah figure coming to bring the new age.
Very good. Right, gentlemen, the ghost dance was inspired by Christianity and Christian elements, right? Right, it talked about a Messiah coming to save the natives, right? A Messiah coming to save the natives. Now, here's the thing about the ghost dance. Right? Many of them wore special shirts that was said to be impervious to the white man's bullets, right? They were bulletproof. Were they actually? No. Right? But gentlemen, correct. But here's the thing. Gentlemen, how does this connect to Sitting Bull? Anyone remember? What was the ghost dance? What was the whole point of the ghost dance? They wanted to do what with the ghost dance? Bigger?
Bring back the bison and get the work guys out.
Yep. Yes. They wanted to bring back the bison and get rid of those who were white, right? Now here's the problem. Were they successful with this ghost dance? Yes or no? No. And unfortunately, with the ghost dance, many of them ended up. What happened to them, gentlemen? They were killed where? Gentlemen, yes, they were massacred at Wounded Knee, right? This was a massacre that ended up happening because Americans were scared, right? Right? Rudy. Yeah, very good, right? Armand,
what does it say underneath inspired by Christianity?
Messiah coming to save the natives, right? Now, gentlemen, Americans were scared that this was an uprising, right? Why are we streaming live streaming here?
You can get out of there.
Mr. Lou.
him. That was him.
What happened?
He farted.
Gentlemen, the last thing, right? The last thing we sort of talked a little bit about here, before we move on to sort of the present day for Native Americans, was we talked about how these people were treated, right? So after many of them were brought onto reservations, after many of them died at Wounded Knee, many of the Native Americans were brought on, were sort of taken, right, to a particular place. Many children were taken to a particular place. Anyone know what place? Jamie? Yes. Right?
They were abused.
Right?
They tried to wash. I'm not.
Like, say the white man.
Many of them were forced to assimilate. They went to boarding schools.
Cultivate the white man. Eliminate the native.
Gentlemen, there was a phrase. Anyone remember the phrase? Rian? Yes. Kill the Indian, save the man, right? Anyone remember how they would kill the Indian and save the man? I want to hear from 4 examples. Dave?
One of them is making them dress civilized attire and cutting off the hair that makes them feel like they're cultural.
Very good. Cutting off their hair, making them dress more American, right? Luca.
No more speaking native language, forced to take a shower to wipe off their cleanness.
Yeah. Wipe off their dirtiness, right? Very good. Kingston, do you have something? Showers, Nicholas. Yeah, literally beating the Native Americans out of them, or beating the native culture out of them. Yes, Alex. Very good. Not being able to speak their language, right? Excellent. Gentlemen, last thing I want to talk about before we end our chapter on Native Americans. I want to talk a little bit about what happened as a result of Wounded Knee. Many of them sought to resist. Gentlemen, does anyone know there was an important movement that was started as a result of Native Americans? What was it called? There was an important movement. Important movement. Jacob? AIM. What does AIM stand for? Yes. Yes. American Indian Movement. Gentlemen, they had something called 20 points. What? 20-point treaty, right? What did they try to fight for, gentlemen? What did they try to fight for? What did they try to fight for? What did they try to fight for? Bobby.
The Indian land rights that have been taken away.
Yes. Very good. Excellent. Gentlemen. Now here's the thing. Right? The AIM, right, the American Indian Movement, sought to fight for Indian rights, right, across the United States. They tried to fight and push, right, for the Americans to finally honor their land rights and their land treaties, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen, I want to take a second to move on to our, we're at halfway there, gentlemen, about halfway there. Right? Gentlemen, we're about halfway there. I'm going to keep on going, right? If you need to take a break, feel free to just walk out, right? Take a break, right? If you need to head off, please feel free to do that. But gentlemen, I want to take a second to move on to our next ethnic group, right? Our next ethnic group. I want to talk a little bit about African Americans.
Is this a new unit?
Gentlemen, I want to take a second to talk a little bit about African Americans.
Is this a new unit?
or a new chapter. Gentlemen, if you need to go, you can go. But if you want to stay, please make sure you are focused. Gentlemen. Yes. Unit 2 was history of migration.
Bye, Mr. Liu.
Gentlemen, oh wait. Gentlemen, I want to take a second to talk a little bit about labor and slavery, right? We're going to transition to Unit 2. As we transition to Unit 2, right, one big important question for you. Was slavery legal in the United States before, in 1619 when the first African Americans were brought over? Was slavery legal? Yes or no? No. Right? Slavery wasn't really a thing. And so as a result, right, we did not depend on slaves for labor, but we depended on another group of individuals. What were their names? Dexter. Very good. Indentured servants, right? Right? We have indentured servants for labor, right? Gentlemen, how does indentured servitude work? How does indentured servitude work? How does indentured servitude work? Jameson? No, sorry. Emerson.
So they would, the masters would pay for the white and black people to come to the New World, and they'd have to work for a period of time, and then after that period, they would have been gifted a small, a plot of land, and they would be free.
Good. Right, individuals would come over to work, right, gentlemen, how many years approximately? 7 years, right? Right, that's 7 years of work, right? And as Emerson noted, after their 7 years of work was over, right, they would get land and freedom. Right, very good. Right, so after that land was over, after their sort of work was over, right, they would be able, gentlemen, to essentially be able, right, to sort of work off their freedom over time. They would be able to get paid, right? Now, gentlemen, what was the experience like for black versus white indentured servants? Right, we know that we had black indentured servants and white indentured servants. What was the experience like for both of them? Right, what was the experience like? I will take Ivan.
So white indentured servants were treated better, and they were able to have weapons like guns. While the black indentured servants, they had less rights, they had less pay, they were punished more severely.
Very good. They were punished much more harshly. Gentlemen, were they allowed to own guns, yes or no? No. They weren't allowed to own guns, right? Very good. Rudy.
For both the white and the black, although they were punished to be let out after a specific time, some of the owners increased their time they would be forced to work, and also gave them poor living conditions.
Very good. Not given land and not given more time, or given more time. Time increased, right? The poor living conditions, right? It was not a very good place for them to work or to live, right? And so as a result, many of them, right, did not have, right, very good rights, right? All of this, gentlemen, began to brew, right? There's another thing that they weren't protected against. Does anyone remember what they were not protected against? They had no protection against what? Tommy?
Native American attack?
Yep, no protection. And so as a result, we end up getting, right, indentured servants. This leads to what? There's a big event. There's a big event.
Oh my God, I know.
Very delicious rebellion.
Yeah.
Bacon's rebellion. Gentlemen, Bacon's rebellion, right? Now, gentlemen, Bacon's rebellion is super important for us to understand, right? Gentlemen, can someone very quickly and briefly recap what happens in Bacon's rebellion? What happens in rebellion? Arguably you can, but I'm keeping it here because it ties into very much a theme. Right. Mr. Rachel, can you recap very briefly?
So pretty much, the white indentured servants were able to own guns.
Yep.
Which means that they can retaliate against their masters.
Yep.
And so this ultimately led to there not being any more indentured servants because the masters couldn't trust the white indentured servants to take them the guns of black slaves, so they turned to slavery.
Ah, very good, right? Because of these guns, right, by Bacon's rebellion, right, we ended up into slavery. Right? Because we turn to slavery, right, we start to rely, right, because they can't trust white indentured servants. Right? They turn to slavery, right? We can't trust these white indentured servants, right? So we need to now import African slaves, right? Right? Now, gentlemen, we also see a shift in the social hierarchy, right? Right? A shift. Right? We used to have a caste system, a hierarchy based on class alone. Right? Based on class alone. Gentlemen, who was at the top of this class?
White people. Rich people.
Cena.
Was it rich people?
Rich. At the top, who was at the bottom? Those were poor. Now, gentlemen, we have a caste system based on class and race. Gentlemen, who's at the top? Those who are rich and white, right? Gentlemen, who's at the bottom? Those who are poor and black, right?
Wait, so if
AKA black what? Black slaves. Nope, it was just those who are poor white. Very few and far between, right? You have someone like Anthony Clutch, right? Right? Who at the end of the day, right, he was arguably so, right? Yes, Montemusa, right? He did own so much wealth, right? The problem, right, was that many Americans, not only was he way in the past, right, but the problem was that many Americans did not view those who were black, right, as superior in any way, shape, or form, right? They viewed them as incredibly inferior, right? And as a result, we start to see, right, this hierarchy form between race and on class, right? They were now viewed, right, as inferior, right? Now, gentlemen, what I want us to do now is I would like us to talk a little bit about two important words that you at this point have memorized. Two important words that you have memorized at this point, right? Gentlemen, I want to take a second and talk a little bit. Shh, gentlemen, I want to take a second and talk a little bit about two important terms. Gentlemen, de jure and de facto, what do these two terms mean? Gentlemen, what do these two terms mean? Connor?
De facto is by fact, de jure by law. Typically used.
Very good, right?
Oh.
Gentlemen, de jure is by law, de facto is by fact, right? Gentlemen, there were some Virginia slave laws. Does anyone remember what are some examples of some Virginia slave laws? What are some examples of Virginia slave laws? Henry.
You couldn't marry black. No, sorry. It was that if your mom, you were what race your mom? So if your mom was a slave, then your dad was what race?
Yes. Does anyone happen to know what term that was? Alex? Yes.
Partis ventrum sequitur.
Partis sequitur. Ventra. Yes. Partis sequitur ventrum. Right? Gentlemen, your enslavement status depends on who your mother is. Your enslavement status depends on who your mother is, right? Partis sequitur ventrum. P-A-R-T-U-S. Sequitur, S-E-Q-U-I-T-U-R. Ventrum, V-E-N-T-R-E-M. Partis sequitur ventrum. Okay? Gentlemen, slaves were no longer people, but they were viewed as what? Property, right? Slaves were property, not people. In addition to that, gentlemen, right? I want to take a second and talk a little bit about something super important here, right? Super important. What can masters do to their slaves now that they are property? What can they do to slaves now that they're property? Mr. Lim, whatever they want. Right? Very good. Now, gentlemen, I want to take a second and talk a little bit as a result of these slave laws. We start to see importing of more and more slaves, right? In part 2 of our Native American chapters unit, we talked a little bit about the Atlantic slave trade, right? Can anyone tell me what are some examples of the Atlantic slave trade and how they were dehumanized? How were African Americans or African slaves dehumanized during that Middle Passage? Roshan?
They were cramped. They no any food or water.
No food or water. They were cramped. What else were they? I will take Liam.
They were like.
Yep. What else? Rudy.
They were forced to walk Stephen sit in their own pieces.
Yep. Right. Very good. Anjuman.
So they would also put that massive salt water on them, which would over hurt their wounds, but also kind of heat their up.
Very good. Salt on wounds, right, as a means to clean them up. Arvon, question?
Wait, so for the Virginia slave laws, wasn't there like a law like passed saying that if a slave owner sexually assaults their like own slave, they can go to jail for that?
If a master assaults their own slave?
Yes.
No. In fact, they would constantly assault their own slaves because their children would then be put into slavery, into bondage.
They just don't
Right?
care?
They would not
Their
care.
own children?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Huh?
Gentlemen, now here's the thing. Gentlemen, here's the thing. The Atlantic slave trade focused on 3 important goods. We talked about them. Anyone remember these 3 goods? 3 goods. Three goods. Jameson, give me one of them.
Slaves.
Yes, but not what I'm thinking of. Tommy, give me one of them. Sugar, yes. Kai, another. Sugar, molasses. What's the last one? Rum. Gentlemen, sugar, molasses, rum, right? Sugar, molasses, rum. Super duper important. Can someone explain how do those three relate to each other? Sugar, molasses, rum. How do those 3 relate to each other? William.
I think like the slaves in the Caribbean farmed the sugar, then it got made into molasses, which got sent to Europe and made into rum.
Gentlemen, where would that rum get traded, gentlemen? The rum was traded into Africa for more what? Slaves. And those slaves would go where? America to farm what? Sugar, right? That sugar would then be made into molasses, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen, right? The last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, right, in terms of just like Jefferson and his confidential message to Congress, we had also a little ironic behavior from Jefferson himself. Does anyone remember? Does anyone remember?
Whoa! Don't say that. He's live streaming. Don't make him get demonetized.
It's not like I'm making any money from this. Gentlemen, does anyone remember, right, what was so ironic about Jefferson's behavior here? What was so ironic about Jefferson's behavior? I will take Owen. Yeah, but what happened?
You ended up marrying one of his, not marrying, but having kids with one of those.
Anyone remember his name? Anyone remember, or her name? Her name. Ivan. Sally Heming. Right, Sally Hemings. Very good. Very good. Right.
So high.
Now, gentlemen. We know that as the United States begins to grow, we depend heavily on slavery, right? We depend heavily on slaves. heavily on slaves as a means, gentlemen, to form our labor, right? Now, as a result of that, we start to see slaves being abused in the United States and a whole civil war, right? A whole civil war that brews, right? Right? Gentlemen, we have a whole civil war, right? Gentlemen, which side was against slavery, North or South? North. Which side was pro-slavery, North or South? South, right? Now, gentlemen, who wins the war? North. The North does. Now, gentlemen, during the U.S. Civil War, we have something. We have Abraham Lincoln as a leader, and he does something. He signs something called the Emancipation Proclamation. Does anyone remember, what does that say? The Emancipation Proclamation did what? It did not. Not all the slaves. Davion?
They freed the slaves in the South.
Only freed the slaves in the South. Gentlemen, remember. Oh, wait. Gentlemen, remember the Emancipation Proclamation, right? The Emancipation Proclamation frees the slaves in the southern states. Not all states leave the Union. As a result, right, those slaves in the border states like Missouri and Maryland are not free, right? Now, gentlemen, we know that after the war is over, we have three different amendments. Right? They were called the Reconstruction Amendments. Gentlemen, we have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Gentlemen, we have the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Gentlemen, does anyone happen to know what any of the amendments say? What do any of the amendments say? What do they say? Bobish. Yes, the 13th abolished slavery. Connor.
The 15th granted African American men the right to vote.
Very good.
Also known as suffrage.
Suffrage, right? The right to vote. Anyone know what the 14th Amendment did? 14th Amendment. JJ. Birthright what? Birthright citizenship, right? And Hudson, what else? Very good. What? 14. The 14th Amendment said that you are equally protected under the laws of the Constitution, right? No one gets extra protections. No one gets fewer protections. Everyone is equally protected under the law. But gentlemen, just because these amendments get passed, right? Does discrimination go away? Yes or no? No, right? Discrimination does not go away. In fact, we see discrimination through something called sharecropping. Right? Gentlemen, can someone explain to me what is sharecropping? What is sharecropping? What is sharecropping? Samuel, what is sharecropping? Gentlemen. Yeah. Gentlemen, I'm trying to listen to Samuel, but I can't if you're talking. Samuel, nice and loud.
To have their crops, so they have to work for them.
Yep.
So they have to work like million hours for very little wages.
Stop. Phone back.
Very good, right? They would share them a share of the crop, give them a share of their crop in order to stay on their land. It was like charging them rent, except, right, what would they do to the share of a crop, gentlemen? They would do what to it? Increase it up, right? So, for example, right, you would ask for 70% of a crop, right, then 80, then 90, right, so on and so forth. Then increase the share of the crop, right?
What if they just decide not to farm?
What was that?
What does it say below sharecropping?
Basically, stay on the land, but give share of crop to them as a form of rent.
What if they just decide not to farm?
Right, as a form of rent. In addition, gentlemen, you had Jim Crow before Jim Crow. Does anyone remember what that was called?
Jim Crow.
Black codes.
Audie.
Black codes.
Black codes. Pre-slavery or pre-segregation, right? Black codes. Gentlemen, does anyone remember the Supreme Court case that legalizes segregation? Arnav. Very good, right? Right, we got Plessy versus Ferguson, right? Now, gentlemen, here's the deal. Plessy versus Ferguson legalized segregation. It said that separate but equal is still equal, right? And as a result, we start to see the rise of what Crow laws? Jim Crow, right? Now, gentlemen, in addition to the increase of Jim Crow laws, you also saw the increase of a couple of white terrorist organizations. What were the names of these white terrorist organizations? What would they do? What would they do? Phoenix. Very good. The KKK, right?
Yo, what'd you say?
Gentlemen, what would they do? What would the KKK often do?
Oh, I know.
Brendan. Lynching, right? Lynching, extrajudicial killing, right? Now, gentlemen, all of this led to something called what?
What?
Just win.
Who was the judge that voted for like that he was allowed to go into the
John Marshall.
John Marshall Harlan. John Marshall Harlan. Yes. Ironically, Eric.
What? Not very bright.
Not the Harlem Renaissance, not yet. Gentlemen, does anyone happen to know, right? There was a big movement of those who are black from the south to the north. Does anyone know what that was called? Emerson. Little louder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lou.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Gentlemen, the Great Migration is a movement of African Americans from the South to the urban North. But question for you, gentlemen, question for you. Question for you. Question for you. Did African Americans get equal rights in the North? Yes or no? No. Gentlemen, can I have a volunteer tell me what were some things in the urban North that those who were African Americans experienced? Things in the urban North. Things in the urban North. I will take Hudson.
Is it like industry jobs?
Yes, good. Right? Industrial jobs. Tommy.
I was going to say industrial jobs.
What else? Anshuman.
Like redlining.
Redlining. What is redlining, Anshuman?
Redlining is basically where as the property value per area increases, it's very like specific to a certain race. For example, white people got like richer areas, black people would tend in the poorer areas.
Redlining kept out those who are black, right, from particular areas, right? There were 4 colors with redlining. Anyone remember the 4 colors? Which one was the best? Which one was the worst? Anyone remember the 4 colors? 4 colors of redlining. 4 colors. Rian.
There was green, which was the best, and red, which was the worst.
Good. You got green. What else you got? What other colors you got? Jameson.
Blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow. I think I have a yellow up here. I think I have a yellow. I think I do.
You stop.
Oh, we haven't even talked about it.
Green, blue, yellow, and red. Anything else in the urban North that those who are black-faced? Anything else in the urban North? Javion.
Didn't they blow up a guy's house he stopped him from moving in?
Yes, right? Gentlemen, they face discrimination, right, in housing and in wages. Right? Were those who are black paid equally? Yes or no?
No.
No. Right? Now, gentlemen, in addition, right, many of those who are black were hired as what? Scabs, right? Right? They were hired as scabs, right? There were also a lot of race riots, right? The Red Summer of 1919, right, in Chicago, right? Now, here's the thing. Despite all of that, not Native Americans, African Americans, right, found their own method of resistance. Does anyone remember how they began to build up their own culture? Anyone remember how they began to build up their own culture? Oh, wait. Brendan. Harlem Renaissance. RENAISSANCE. Gentlemen, does anyone remember what was the Harlem Renaissance? What happened during the Harlem Renaissance? Come in.
It was like a time period where the African American people started off
like their skills, especially music or poetry or art, especially
Very good. You got poetry. What was the second thing you said?
jazz.
Jazz, right? You got poetry. You got jazz. What else you got? Savon. Yes. And gentlemen, and right?
Okay.
Right? Poetry, jazz. Javion, Arvon, would you like to lead? That's what I thought. And now that is on the last week for everyone to listen. Gentlemen, poetry. Gentlemen, poetry, jazz, and art, right? All of those things are examples of cultural revival that African Americans dealt with, right? Very good. Now, on top of that, gentlemen, right? We start to see, despite that, right, the rise in Jim Crow, but we also saw how African Americans were treated in World War II. There was a form of resistance that ended up growing as a result, right, of World War II, right? Does anyone remember? Does anyone remember what that was called? I will take Ethan. The Double V campaign, which stood for what? Victory over segregation at home. Victory over fascism abroad. Fascism is a form of government which basically calls for totalitarian control, right? Where everyone believes the same thing. If you don't believe that thing, then you are out of society. You are, summarily executed, right? So fascism is a form of government, gentlemen, that seeks to control wholeheartedly, right? What people believe, right? Institutes very, very strict measures of governance, right, for individuals, right? Very good, right? Now, gentlemen, we also talked a little bit about civil rights, right? We talked a little bit about civil rights, right? Gentlemen, we've got passive. Gentlemen, we've got passive and active methods of resistance. Who leads these passive and active methods of resistance? Who leads them? Who leads them? Ryan.
One of the active ones is Malcolm X.
Very good. What's the other active one, gentlemen? Dexter, you remember? Black Panther, right? Gentlemen, we got Black Panthers, we got Malcolm X. What did the active resistance say? What did the active resistance say? Ivan.
Like we need to leave America, we need the white and like separate from. Yes.
What did they want? What were they willing to use, gentlemen? Violence. Right? They wanted to use violence as necessary. Right? They want to use violence as necessary. What about passive? Who leads the passive resistance? This one should be pretty obvious, Mr. Cataba. Yep, MLK Jr. Right? What are some examples of passive resistance, gentlemen? Examples of passive resistance. Passive resistance. Examples. Any examples? William?
March on Washington.
March on Washington, right? Very good. What else? Eric. Sit-ins. Can you explain what a sit-in is? Sit and white only at restaurants, right? Very good. They would wait to be served, right? Dexter. Oh, you're going to say sit-ins. Any others? Nolan. Bus boycotts. Right? Bus boycotts. Very good. Right? At the end of the day, bus boycotts, gentlemen, were where you refuse to take the bus, right? Ashman. Yes, you can also add the NAACP. But we also, gentlemen, learned about another acronym. Started with an S. Bobby? Gentlemen, SNCC. Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Right? Now, Anshman mentioned Selma, right? Voting rights. Right? There were voting rights, right? The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Yes. Yes, you may. The National Association for the Advancement of Poetry. The National Association for the Advancement of Poetry. Right. Now, gentlemen. Hello, hello. Are we back? Yes, I think we're back. Alrighty. It's back, right? Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Gentlemen, we've got a resistance. We've got all of this stuff, right? What I want us to do now, gentlemen, what I want us to do now is I want us to go back to land rights. I want us, gentlemen, to talk a little bit about Mexican Americans, right? We learned a little bit about Mexican Americans, and we learned a little bit, gentlemen, about reasons why the United States wanted to move in a certain direction. Gentlemen, if you need a break, just go ahead and walk on out. Right? Gentlemen, I want to take a second to talk a little bit about talk a little bit about movement, right? Gentlemen, the United States, right, wants to move in which direction? West, right? Now, gentlemen, we have this concept, right? We have more land justifications, right? Gentlemen, land justifications. What are some examples of land justifications for us to move in westward, out west, right? What was that called? You're welcome. What was that called? Just want to move westward, Phoenix. Manifest destiny. Right? This goal to move westward, right? Move westward. Right? This want to move westward. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Does anyone remember what America tried to do to Mexico versus how Mexico responded? Nicholas, do you have your hand up?
I was gonna say kind of like,
More specific, Rudy?
I think Americans kept moving into America. Americans kept moving into Mexico, like without the Mexican defense. And so Mexico take like specific laws or where.
I have no idea. I don't know. Probably
Gentlemen, remember, we get the Mexican-American War because as people begin to move out west, they want to spread slavery westward, right? We start to want to get, right? Does anyone happen to remember what we called Texas before it became Texas? Tejas, right? Right, we want Tejas. The problem, right, is that Mexico retaliates. It shuts down its border. And remember, we start to establish Texas as a new republic. What is the name of this republic? The Lone what? Tommy. Very good. The Lone Star Republic. The Lone Star Republic, right? Now, gentlemen, Texas ends up becoming a republic as a result of this. Now, gentlemen, does anyone remember the one big battle that triggers the start to this Mexican-American War? Anyone remember? Lior?
The Alamo?
Very good. The Battle of the Alamo, right? The Alamo, gentlemen, triggers this remember the Alamo response, right? Remember the Alamo. Tommy. Yes, I will also take a picture of all of this and post it on campus, right? We remember the Alamo, right? The Battle of the Alamo. Does anyone remember where we begin to counterattack? Where is the counterattack? We have the Battle of the Alamo and the Battle of what?
Ooh.
Russian?
Wait, San Joaquin or something?
Yes, close. San Jacinto.
Jacinto, yeah.
Very good. Now, gentlemen, oftentimes, right? What ends up happening after these big battles is a treaty gets signed. What is the name of this treaty? Treaty of what? Treaty of what? Treaty of what? Hudson. Very good. Gentlemen, we have the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right? The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right? Now, here's the thing. There were two rivers, two rivers that Mexico and the United States were sort of, feuding between. Does anyone remember the name of these two rivers? Name of these two rivers. Anyone remember the name? Ivan.
When it comes to the Rio Grande River.
Yep, the Rio Grande. What was the other one?
No.
What's the other one? Henry?
Oh, is it the Guadalupe?
Nope.
What?
Alex? Nueces, right? The Rio Grande and the Nueces, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen, there was an American president who, just like the Jamestown Massacre, uses the blood on soil argument here with the Battle of the Alamo. Anyone remember his name? Oh. Anyone remember his name? Ethan? James K. Polk, right? Right? Polk and the Alamo, right? Now, gentlemen, as a result, we are thrust into the Mexican-American War, right? Which ends up getting us the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, right? Now, here's the thing. In California, we also established another republic. Does anyone remember the name of this republic? We got the Lone Star Republic, and in this republic, we have the Savon. Oh, close. Close. Devin. Good. The Bear Flag Republic. Right? The Bear Flag Republic, right? Now, gentlemen. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo promises a few things, right? The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo promises a few things, right? It says, right? It says, you can stay in the U.S. and receive rights like any citizen. Or you can go back to Mexico. Gentlemen, was this promise too good to be true? Yes or no? Yeah, it was too good to be true, right? Oftentimes, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo reneged on its promises, right? It reneged on its promises, right? So, for example, right? For example, there was something about Article 10. Does anyone remember what it said about Article 10? Article 10. Ivan, what did Article 10 say?
It's like they give land, or have the rancheros keep their land in Texas.
Very good. It promised Mexican Americans land rights. Does anyone remember what it got replaced with? What did it get replaced with? It got replaced with just one?
It didn't get replaced with anything officially, but they just told them that okay, your Mexican deeds would be compromised. Would be allowed.
Respected. Yes, good. But they did get replaced with something. What?
Oh.
It was a de facto promise called what?
I can figure out, find out my notes.
A de facto promise called, Alex? Statement protocol.
Oh.
Wait, Mr. Little, where did you start?
Started off with land rights. Manifest destiny. Gentlemen, what I want to do is, does anyone remember any examples of laws that targeted Mexicans? There were some laws that targeted Mexicans. Laws that targeted Mexicans. What were they called, Alex?
The Greasers Act.
Yep, the Greaser Act. What did that say?
It said that like you couldn't, they couldn't own land, right?
Not quite. Not quite. Liam? Yeah, anti-vagrancy laws, right?
Can't be what?
Gentlemen, no homelessness. No homelessness, right? Gentlemen, anyone else remember any laws targeting Mexicans? Samuel? Yes, foreign miners tax. Remember, what did that say?
I remember that.
Mr. Lou, what was John Marshall's name again?
John Marshall Harlan.
Gentlemen, Samuel, what did that say? What did that say again?
They were looking for gold, right?
Yes, they were looking for gold.
So it didn't let them have that gold that they looked for. So they had them of that of the gold that they gained.
Very good, right? It also said that if you were not a what, you had to pay what?
You're not white.
Close?
You're not white plus Caucasian.
Close? Not a citizen. You're not a citizen, right? You have to pay the money to mine, right? Now, gentlemen, when we talked about Mexicans, we also talked a little bit about some resistance efforts. We talked a little bit about an important labor union. Does anyone remember this name of this labor union that was formed? Gentlemen, anyone remember the name of this labor union that was formed between Mexicans? Mexicans that was formed by Mexicans. Anyone remember? JJ? The JMLA, what does that stand for? Japanese Mexican Labor Association, right? They ended up getting more money, right? They got more wages for beef fitting. Right? They literally got more money per hour with fitting beef.
I'm asking for a chicken nugget, bro.
Literally, honestly, get out of here.
You can do whatever you want with your food.
I'm not taking that, bro.
No way we're gonna go through all of it.
We're gonna try. Now, gentlemen, I want to talk a little bit about Mexicans that ended up migrating over to the United States. Right? I want to talk a little bit about Mexicans that ended up migrating over to the U.S. Right? Gentlemen, does anyone happen to know, right, or remember, what do we call the neighborhoods that those who are Mexicans went to?
Why is everyone
Oscar? Cena? Barrio. It's guys, sorry, it's getting to the point where I'm just like, I look at someone and I will just like call someone else, and it's starting to get a little bad. Gentlemen, bear with me, okay? Gentlemen, barrios were red line Mexican neighborhoods, right? Gentlemen, how would they celebrate their culture in these barrios? How would they celebrate their culture? Owen. Right? They would wear what they want to wear, right? Zoot suits. What was an issue with that, though? What was an issue with that? What was an issue with zoot suits? Yes, Luca.
Can you just like get rid of that orange?
It was unpatriotic because it took up too much fabric that needed to be supplied for soldiers in World War II.
Very good. Too much fabric in World War II. Right? Very good. How else would they, gentlemen, and let's make sure that we don't waste any of the food. Like, there's literally a peeled orange on the floor, gentlemen. Right? No one's going to eat that.
Was this originally? No, it wasn't.
Guys, right? Miss Kong was nice enough to give her oranges to us, or to me. I had the opportunity to share it with you, and now her oranges are being disrespected. Right? These were hers that she grew. This is from her tree. Right?
Who wants this orange?
I'll take the orange. No, I haven't had an orange yet, guys.
Gentlemen, Bobbish.
The lowriders.
Yeah. Lowriders, right? They would sort of pimp up their cars, right? Phoenix. Tattoos, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen. Yes, Luke.
They spoke their language.
Yeah.
And ate their native food, kind of.
Very good. Now, here's the deal. In addition, gentlemen, we also saw programs that brought those who were Mexicans over, particularly when it came to World War II. Does anyone remember, right, what happened in terms of labor and slavery in World War II for the Mexicans? Right, we've got Mexican workers. What happened in World War II? Anyone remember the name of the program? Or sorry, program. Mr. Stenhouse.
The Rosero program?
Yes, the Rosero program. And why did we need them in World War II?
So we could have farmers to do agriculture while a lot of people were out fighting for our country.
Very good. We needed them to harvest food and vegetables and fruits, right, for us while other people were out and fighting in the war, right? This is super duper important, right? This is super duper important. Now, gentlemen, we also see, right, prior to that, a big shift, right? In the 1920s, Mexicans were often viewed as what? Mexicans were viewed as what? Roshan.
An invasion.
Yes, invaders. And people that stole what?
Jobs.
Right, people that stole jobs, right? And as a result, because they were viewed as people who stole jobs, right? Many of those who are Mexicans, right, were not viewed, right, as someone we wanted in our country, right? They were viewed much more inferiorly, right? They were inferior, right? They were viewed as invaders, right?
Was the Rosero program during World War II?
Right? They were viewed as invaders, right? Now, gentlemen, even today, we see a massive amount of those who are Mexicans, or massive number of people who are Mexicans, right, being treated fairly or unfairly in this country.
Unfairly.
Gentlemen, does anyone remember the program that was founded under President Obama that sought to sort of give protections to those who came over with their families and crossed illegally? Does anyone remember the name of this program?
Oh.
Dexter.
DACA?
Yes, DACA, right? Does anyone remember what that stands for, DACA?
Something.
Oh. DACA. William? It does stand for Dreamers, right? The Dreamers are DACA recipients, but what does the actual program stand for? What is DACA? What is the acronym? Mr. Baker.
Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals.
Very good. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, right? Very good. Right. Gentlemen, the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is actually a form of resistance, right? As many of these kids grow up in these red line communities, we actually start to see a lot of poor schooling. Does anyone remember what happened? What happened in 1968? Henry.
The elementary school walkout.
Yes.
Because we're being unfairly educated and not receiving the job.
Very good. Right? It's a form of resistance, right? No funding for schools. Therefore, we walk out, right? Very good.
Wait.
Yeah.
Walk out or lockout?
Walk out. We walk out, right? Alrighty, gentlemen. We're finally done with Unit 2, Part 1, and Part 2. We are now moving into Unit 2, Part 3, which are all the Irish and Jewish immigrants and all the Asian ones, okay? We're going to move through this very quickly. I know, gentlemen, I promise you I'm going to stay until the very end, okay? Even if none of you are here, I'm still going to finish the concept map out, right? So if you need to leave by 6 o'clock, feel free to do that, right? I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm going to stay on for as long as I physically can, okay? Yes, Henry. Probably like 6:15. Yeah. Gentlemen, I want to take a second to talk about those who are Irish and those who are Jewish. For those who are Jewish, here in my classroom, and for those online, right, happy Hanukkah. I hope you have a very happy and wonderful Hanukkah season. But gentlemen, I want to start with the Irish people, right? What reasons or why they came over? What are some reasons why they came over to the United States? JJ.
Because of the Irish. I'm Michelou.
Yeah. Potato famine. What else? What else? What's the other big one? JJ?
British oppression.
The what?
British oppression.
Yes. It's always the damn Brits, right? British oppression, right? How would they oppress them? How would they oppress them? Javion.
The British were transitioning from farming to cattle ranching, which took up a lot more space. So that how they do it, they just took the Irish space.
Right? That meant less land for food. Very good. What about the Jewish people? Why did the Jewish people move? Why did those who are Jewish move? Tommy.
They were like they got attacked.
Good. What were these attacks called?
Oh.
What were these attacks called? Dexter. Pogroms. You're welcome. Pogroms, right? Pogroms were when the Jewish people got attacked, right? Now, gentlemen, oftentimes the Jewish people lived in this sort of region of Europe. Does anyone remember what the region was called? What was that region called, gentlemen? I will take Luca.
Oh, I'm just gonna doubt them up.
Oh, okay. I will take Mr. Baker.
Are they called like schools or something?
Close.
Yeah.
Close.
Oh, no,
Close.
I know.
Close. Close. Nicholas? Also close. Luca.
Shtetls.
Yes, shtetls. S-H-T-E-T-L-S. Shtetls are ghettos, right? Now, gentlemen, these shtetls are found in where? There was a region of land. What was that called? Ivan?
It's like in the general area of like the Middle East, Russia, and like Turkey, that sort of region.
Gentlemen, this was called the Pale of Settlement. The Pale of Settlement, right? Now, many of the Jewish people also came over for better jobs, right? Better jobs. Gentlemen, where would these two groups arrive? Where would these two groups arrive? What immigration station? What immigration station? Leah. Ellis Island. Ellis Island. Now, gentlemen, Ellis Island, right, would let them go through, right? Many of them would get jobs. What jobs would they get?
Oh.
Gentlemen, what jobs would the Irish get? Let's start with the Irish first. From the faster you get through this, the faster we get to go. Arnav.
It was the sewing workers thing. Seamstresses.
Seamstresses? You're welcome. Was that also true for those who are Jewish? Yes or no? Yes. Right? Those who are Jewish would also be seamstresses. Thank you, Mr. Luke. What else? You're welcome. What else would Irish workers work in? We are.
Shoemaking.
Shoe factories. What else? Ivan?
Like textile factories.
Yes. What else? Alex?
Like maids and stuff like that.
Yes, maids. Domestic servants. One more. Oscar?
Railroad.
Yes, railroads, right? What about Jewish jobs? We've got seamstresses, right? Factory workers. Yes, Leroy.
Peddlers.
Yes, peddlers and salesmen, right? Right, very good. Right, Babish?
Wait, were Irish not in like politics as well?
Were Irish on what?
Politics?
They were, right? They were also in politics, right? Now, here's the thing, right? We were just about to talk that in just a second. Does anyone remember where these Jewish and Irish workers would live? Where would they live? They can. Motion?
Dumbbell apartments.
Yeah, dumbbell tenements, right? So from Ellis Island, they were going to be dumbbell tenements. Dumbbell tenements, right? Very good. Very good. Now here's the deal. Right? We also know that those who are Irish were perceived very poorly, right? Gentlemen, what examples do we have about the perceptions of those who are Irish? Right, we've got perceptions of the Irish. How are they viewed? How are they seen? Tommy.
Savages.
They were seen as savage. What else were they seen as? Samuel. Apes. Or monkeys, right? Javion. Dirty. William. Yes. Right? I will take Luca. Yes, very good. Samuel? What was it?
Compared to black.
Yes, they were compared to those who were black, right? Gentlemen, what was the other group they were compared against? Oh,
wait.
Javion?
Me?
Yes, Chinese people. You and me. Woman. Yeah. Very good. Now, gentlemen, we know, right, that labor unions were a critical method of resistance for both of these groups, right? A very, very critical resistance to both of these groups, right? Can someone tell me, what are some examples, right, of how labor unions play a role, right, in Jewish and Irish communities, right? What do we got? William.
Help them fight the labor unions help them fight for better working conditions.
Good.
I think you would actually do Jewish perception.
Wait, Mr. Wu,
Yes.
did you do the Jewish perception?
Not yet. We'll get to that in just a second. What else? Henry.
So labor unions actually has like a white thing.
Yes.
So it helped them become like assimilate more.
Good. Help them assimilate. How else? Does anyone remember the name of the big sort of uprising? Hudson? No, not quite. That was more so with having to do with Irish assimilation. Bobbish?
The uprising of 20,000.
Yes, the uprising of 20,000, right? It got them better wages and hours, right? But gentlemen, not all of the different labor strikes were successful. In fact, we saw an unsuccessful and very terrible tragedy happen as a result of these labor unions. Anyone remember the name of this sort of burning wreck? This. Connor?
Was it the building that got the fact
yeah,
that caught
triangle.
fire after they got stuck inside?
Yes.
I don't remember the exact name.
Nicholas?
Triangle Shirtwaist Company Fire.
Close.
Oh, I know.
Devin? Yeah, Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory Fire, right? Now, gentlemen, what did you realize about the power of the labor union? Gentlemen, what is the power of the labor union?
Oh.
You're only as strong as what? Arno.
If everyone cooperates together.
Yep. They're only strong if everyone sticks together, right? They're only as strong as if everyone sticks together, right? Does anyone remember the name of the Irish labor union? The Irish labor union. Logan? Close. Secret Order of the Knights of St. Crispin. Now, gentlemen, question for you. We know that those who are Irish were compared to those who are black and those who are Chinese, right? Does anyone happen to remember, right, what happened with the Secret Order of the Knights of St. Crispin? When they struck, what happened to them? They failed, and then what happened?
Chinese were brought in as scabs.
Very good. The Chinese were brought in as scabs, right?
More racial tension.
Chinese got brought in as scabs. Gentlemen, does anyone remember what happened to those who were black? Right? There was something about some sort of riot. What was it? A riot. Ivan?
The draft riot.
Yeah.
The blacks would take their job if they were drafted before. For the war.
Right? If we go and fight in the war, we lose our jobs to those who are black. Right? We lose our jobs to those who are black. Right? Very good.
Wait, was this for the Irish?
No, these are for the Jewish people.
Wait, so the black.
Oh, sorry. Those are Irish. Yes, those are Irish.
Wait. So the Irish are being drafted into war, and that gives their jobs to
Correct. Right? Now, gentlemen, we know that those who are Irish, those who are black, end up assimilating in the United States successfully versus unsuccessfully. Gentlemen, anyone remember, for those who are Irish, how do they assimilate? How do they assimilate? How do they assimilate? How do they assimilate? Marco. Yep, English. What else? Hudson.
Green power.
Green power, what does that mean?
Political representation.
Yes. Right? They can vote. Right? William?
What are their whiteness?
Yes, they use whiteness. Luca?
They kind of hopped on with racism against white racism of other groups.
Yes. They try to separate themselves against those who are black, right, Henry?
They started.
Change clothing, right? So change names and clothing, right? Devin?
They kind of like flaunted their wealth.
Yeah. Flaunted their wealth, their money, right? Leora, last one?
Stop celebrating like their celebrations, their cultural celebrations.
They sort of started buying into consumerism, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And they stopped celebrating Jewish holidays, right?
Started going on white vacation.
Right? Gentlemen, all of this, was that successful or did that lead to what?
More racism.
More anti-Semitism, right?
Mr. Why is it called Semitism?
So here's the thing. Many of those who are Jewish speak Hebrew or Yiddish, right? Those are examples of Semitic languages, right? And so anti-Semitism comes from this root Semite, right, which is having roots in Sephardic and or like Hebrew, Jewish sort of traditions. Very good, gentlemen. Let's take a second. We're now a part of the Asian culture, so we're very, very close to being done. Okay, gentlemen. Let's start with those who are Chinese. Why do they come to the U.S.?
Jobs.
The British and Opium Wars.
Very good.
That one guy was like your brother.
Yeah. We just doing Chinese? No, we're Chinese.
Gentlemen, we've got Opium Wars. What else have we got?
No, after.
Yes or no?
British oppression.
Yes.
Dude, I have to finish my ethics.
We got the Brits, right? What else do we have? Opium Wars. Anyone remember how the Chinese come? We got rebellion as well. Anyone remember how the Chinese come? Ivan? Yes.
I know.
Why or how? How did the Chinese come? Marco? Yes, the credit ticket system. Does anyone remember what does the credit ticket system sort of do or say? How does that work? What does that do? How does that say? How does that work? Liam?
Like someone buy a ticket for you and you work it off to America.
Yep. Very similar to what, gentlemen? Very similar to what?
Paper merchant.
Not quite. Nolan. Indentured servitude, right? Where you would pay off or work off your sort of life, right? Gentlemen, what jobs do the Chinese work? What jobs do the Chinese work?
See you, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
Thanks a million.
Phoenix. Railroads. Tommy. Laundromat. What else? JJ. Restaurant. What else? William.
stores, like store managers.
Yep. Leah. Minors. Now, gentlemen, we all know, yes or no, did the Chinese immigrants, were they perceived well in this country? No. They're often seen as stealing what, gentlemen? Stealing American jobs, right? So, those who were Chinese were much viewed, right? As job stealers, right? Now, gentlemen, question for you. These Chinese people that were viewed as job stealers, there was a specific law that was passed to stop the Chinese. The name of this law was what?
I know. Say it together.
Gentlemen, let's say it together in 3, 2, 1.
Chinese Exclusion Act.
Very good. Right?
Something.
Of 1882. Gentlemen, does anyone remember any other examples of de jure discrimination against the Chinese? Anyone remember any examples of de jure discrimination? De jure. Dexter? Samuel? There was. What's it called?
Wait, it was. Was the laundromat guy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Nolan?
I was gonna say
Wait, there's another one.
Remember, People versus Hall said that they couldn't testify against those who were white, right?
Oh,
There's another one. Lior?
Yick Will versus Hopkins.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis, there's no more audio, they say. People are still on live.
Am I back now? Am I back?
6 people.
What? Why are people saying that I'm Mr. Davis? I'm not. I'm much shorter than Mr. Davis. Gentlemen, Dickwell versus Hawkins, right, is something about laundromats, right? Yes. This was on the Unit 2 Part 2, right? Samuel?
Didn't they only give permits to like white people?
Yep.
And not Chinese people?
Yep. Very good, right? That violated the 14th Amendment's what?
Equal protection.
Equal protection clause, right?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe they can't hear me.
Is the audio back? You're welcome. Okay. Alrighty, gentlemen, we've got Hopkins. Now, gentlemen, I want to transition very quickly to Chinese women, right? They were viewed as what? Prostitutes, right? Does anyone remember the law that bans Chinese women?
Oh. Yo, wait.
Banned women.
Oh.
Alex?
I know the year is 1888, right?
1875.
Wow.
The always save us again.
The Page Act or law?
Page Act or Page Law.
Yeah.
I'm leaving in 1 minute.
Right? Gentlemen, at the end of a day, right, we start to see a loophole used against the Chinese Exclusion Act. What was the loophole? Well, hang on, let me back up. There was something that enforced the Chinese Exclusion Act. What was it? There was a big island. What island?
It's
quite heavenly, but it's the opposite of heaven. Tommy? Angel Island, right? Angel Island enforced the Chinese Exclusion Act, right? Right? Enforces the Chinese Exclusion Act. What was the loophole? What was the loophole? Nolan? Yes? Which then allows them to do what, Marco?
I just remember like I forgot it was like a building that got destroyed and all the records of citizenship were destroyed. So the Chinese said that America didn't have like a record of citizenship to prove.
Very good, right?
Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu, was the Angel Island before the earthquake or after the earthquake?
After the earthquake.
Okay.
Right? So gentlemen, we start using paper sons and paper merchants, right? Very good. Paper sons, paper merchants.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, gentlemen, I want to take a second and I want to talk a little bit. You're welcome, Tommy. I want to talk a little bit about three important and different organizations that were supporting those who are Chinese immigrants.
I actually got 10 more minutes. So.
Did you go home?
No.
I've been here the whole time.
Gentlemen. Okay. Gentlemen, what was the name of these three important organizations? There were three that helped the Chinese. There were three.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Logan? Tong. Fong. And Chinatown. Right? Tongs were gangs, and they provided what?
Protection, and they also did the credit system.
Very good. They provided protection and the credit system. Fongs, on the other hand, provided social services. Like what? Like what? Social services like
Medicare.
Education and healthcare. Chinatowns were what, gentlemen?
They're like a
Ethnic enclave.
Good. An ethnic enclave, right? Very good. Excellent. Gentlemen, let's move on to the Japanese.
Oh my god. Dude, I have to.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
More and more awake as time goes on.
Mr. Lu,
Yes.
secret society or phone secret society?
Tongs are secret societies.
Wait, Mr. Lu, are we gonna go over
A little bit. Gentlemen. Those who are Japanese come over because why? They want what?
Job.
They want jobs, right? So the Japanese come over because they want jobs, right? Jobs where? Jobs where? Where are these jobs located? Liam?
Why?
Hawaii. Right? In Hawaii. Right? Guess it was 2 minutes instead of 10.
This time is official.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell Aiden I said hi.
Yeah. Aiden really enjoyed his class.
Well, thank you. Gentlemen, right, we got jobs in Hawaii, right? Jobs in Hawaii. Now, here's the thing about these jobs in Hawaii. What jobs were they? Agriculture, right? And does everyone remember why the Japanese came over? There were like a couple big reasons why, right? There's something about the emperor. What happened? Roshan?
The emperor wanted to make Japan a really big power, so he wanted a really big army, but that means he had to like tax all the peasants, and the peasants like could not live under the taxes.
Very good. Meiji Restoration and taxes, right? We start to shift to this emperor-led system, right? In addition to that, gentlemen, right, we start to see many Japanese women coming over, right? Does anyone remember there were two big things that happened, right, when it comes to the U.S. and Japan? There was a little agreement. What was the agreement called? What did it say? What did it say? Nicholas?
Gentleman's agreement.
Yes. What did it say?
It essentially said. It essentially said that Japanese people could immigrate to the U.S., but Japan had to kind of self-limit the amount of immigration that was going on.
Very good, right? Those who are Japanese, right, self-limit immigration, right? The United States was not going to pass the Japanese Exclusion Act, right? Does anyone remember the method in which they would come on over? Like there was a paper sons and merchants. For the Japanese, that was what? JJ. Close. Picture brides, right?
Oh yeah.
Does anyone remember how this would work? Picture brides, how would it work? How would things work in picture brides? Babish.
They would show like the officers a picture of like a wife, their wife, I think.
Yep.
And then like they said the wife was there so they could come over.
Very good, right? Wife was there so they could come over. This is a picture of her, right? Very good. Now, gentlemen. I want to take a second to talk about Japanese workers, right? Japanese laborers, right? They would work on the sugarcane plantations, right? They would work on the sugarcane plantations, right? Now, gentlemen, what were some abuses they suffered on these sugarcane plantations? Mr. Sawaya. Overworked. What else happened?
Bad housing, diseases.
Yes.
Not enough pay. Wait, was this the slaves? Or were they getting paid for this?
The Japanese.
Oh, Japanese turn.
Oh, not quite, not there yet. Now, gentlemen, the Japanese, right, they were worked in barracks, and they also, gentlemen, formed labor unions. What labor unions did they form, and who did they form them with? Dexter?
JLA, and they worked with the Philippine FLA. Guys, if we
Close.
get 7 more likes, Mr. Lou will do it back.
HLA, the Hawaii Laborers Association.
Dang.
Gentlemen, the Hawaii Laborers Association, right? That was formed between what? The Japanese Federation of Labor and the Filipino Federation of Labor, right? So we have the Filipinos and we have the Japanese, right? And they fought for better working conditions, right? They fought for better working conditions.
Wait,
Right.
what is HLA?
The Hawaii Laborers Association.
We formed from the Japanese and the.
Yep. Now, gentlemen, those who are Japanese, right? They also began to form a new type of language. What was that new type of language?
Pidgin.
Pidgin, right? They formed Pidgin, right? And gentlemen, Pidgin is a form of what type of culture? We just learned this today, or yesterday. So not yesterday, or Friday, if you're on. What form of culture, Henry?
Theocratic?
Ooh, close. Arnav? No? Anyone remember syncretic culture? Syncretic culture, right? The formation of a new culture based off of other cultures combining together, right? So syncretic culture, right? Now, gentlemen, food and culture was also important in other ways. Why was food so important? Why was food so important? Dexter.
The workers tried to help each other and like trade food, and they would share cultures with each other.
Very good. They would share food with each other. That created what, gentlemen? Connection and
Trust.
more trust, right, between different workers. Yes.
It also grew the power of labor unions.
Good.
Because the plantation owners wanted a diverse racial ethnic workforce.
Yes.
But then by doing that, they kind of reduced that barrier.
Very good. Now, gentlemen, those who are Japanese were obviously discriminated against, right? Gentlemen, does anyone remember there was a specific law, right? This guy, Kiyotaro Abiko, wants to establish the Yamato colony, which is this farming colony, right? Farming colony in California, right? As a result, there's some backlash. Anyone remember the name of this law?
Alien Land Act of 1913.
Very good. The Alien Land Act or Land Law of 1913. Right? Gentlemen, this Alien Land Law, what did it say? If you weren't a what, you couldn't do what? Marco. Right. Not a citizen? No land. Right? So, gentlemen, 1913. Gentlemen, the catch is that could the Japanese be citizens? Yes or no? No. Right? Anyone remember the name of that case?
Oh, come on, because it's last week. Oh my god.
Name of the case. Japanese people could not become citizens. Logan. Yes, Ozawa versus U.S. What did it say? What did it say? Something about white skin, something about Caucasian. What? 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 Roshan.
That even though you looked white, that since you were not Caucasian, you couldn't be a citizen.
White skin, yes. Caucasian, no. Therefore, do we get citizenship? Yes or no?
No.
No. Right? No citizenship. Right?
How do you spell Caucasus?
Caucasus. C-A-U-C-A-S-U-S. Right? Now, gentlemen, many of the Japanese tried to assimilate right into the United States. They tried to assimilate into the United States. Gentlemen, there were two groups. The first generation and the second generation. What were they called? What were they called? No one's got a hand? I will take Babish.
Issei and Nisei.
Issei.
How do you spell that?
I-S-S-E-I.
Thank you.
And Nisei, N-I-S-E-I. Nisei and Nisei. Right? Many of the Nisei felt stuck in between, right? They were Japanese at home, but they learned American traits, right? But everything started to change during World War II. What happened, gentlemen, to the Japanese during World War II? What happened to the Japanese during World War II? Nolan.
They were internment camps.
Yeah, they were interned in World War II. Did we intern the Germans or the Italians? No. Now, gentlemen, there were two. There's an executive order and a Supreme Court case. Anyone remember the name? Anyone remember the name? Dexter.
Order 9,000.
Yes, Executive Order 9066 that made military zones that the Japanese had to leave. Executive Order 9066. Anyone remember the Supreme Court case?
Oh, wait.
Henry?
Is it Ozawa? Oh, no, Korematsu.
Korematsu.
What?
Korematsu
What?
versus U.S.
Did you say?
Right? It allowed for those who were Japanese. Korematsu versus U.S. Allowed the Japanese to be interned, right? Now here's the thing about the Japanese, gentlemen, right? Despite this, there were still some Nisei that fought against, right? Racism and discrimination, chose to fight for the United States. Does anyone remember that regiment name? These awesome, amazing badasses that fought for the U.S. Yep. Hey. Liam? 442nd Regimental Combat Unit, right? Very good. Gentlemen, on to the Filipinos.
Oh my God.
For the Filipinos, right, we talked a little bit about Manifest Destiny on steroids. What was that called? Manifest Destiny on steroids. What was that called?
No. Was it the Monroe Doctrine? No. I don't know.
Hey, we got something.
Imperialism.
Imperialism.
Oh.
Manifest Destiny on steroids, right? Now here's the thing. The U.S. needs an excuse to go to war. What was that excuse? Spain. Spain. What happened? Nicholas?
There was a mechanical issue on the USS Maine that caused the ship to explode, and the United States blamed it on Spain.
Very good. USS Maine explodes. It gets blamed on the U.S. or I'm sorry, on Spain.
Wait, what theme is this?
Land rights.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. After it gets blamed on the Spanish, we end up taking a couple of their colonies. Which ones?
Oh yeah.
Anyone remember? Logan.
Philippines,
Yes.
Cuba,
Yes.
Puerto Rico.
Cuba, Puerto Rico. Very good. And I will add Guam as well. Right?
Are these the countries that were or that were annexed?
We're taken.
Yeah, annex.
We're annexed, right? Now here's the thing. After all of that, the Filipinos are like, thank you very much. We're going to be free now, right? Yes or no?
No.
No, right? They're not free at all. We fight another war, the Philippine-American War, right? Now here's the thing. After the Philippines becomes a U.S. colony, what we start to see, right, is this question of, are these Filipinos American citizens? And the answer to that was, they're not. They're what?
They're nationals.
They're U.S. nationals, right? So, those who are Filipino,
Hi, Mr. Lou.
yeah, they're U.S. nationals. Does anyone happen to remember the cases, the Supreme Court cases that ends up saying that, hey, not all constitutional rights apply to the territories? Right? Nationals can come over to the United States, but those who are U.S. nationals, right, those who are U.S. nationals don't get all the rights. Right? Anyone remember the name of those cases? Name of those cases, Marco. Yes, the insular cases. Right? The insular cases, gentlemen, the insular cases say that those who are, right? The insular cases.
I'm not studying much after this. I'm just gonna read this whole thing once.
Gentlemen, the rights in the U.S. Constitution do not fully apply to the territories, right? The rights in the Constitution don't fully apply to the territories, right? So, those who are Filipino, they can come over to the United States, but they don't have all the rights in the U.S. Constitution. Now, here's the thing. We learned, gentlemen, about an important labor leader, an important Filipino-American labor leader.
Oh dear.
What is his name? JJ. No.
No, I know.
Larry Itliong, right? Larry Itliong, right? Now, gentlemen, Larry Itliong
Yes.
formed a labor union alongside Mexican Americans. What is the name of his labor union? He formed a labor union. What is the name of this labor union? Arnold?
No, wait.
It starts with an A. AWOC, what's it stand for? What's that?
What are you doing? What are those numbers?
Yes, Bobish. Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee. Gentlemen, who does he work with? Cesar Chavez and? Dolores Huerta, right? Gentlemen, they form NFWA. What does that stand for? National Farm Workers Association.
Wait, Maria who?
Dolores, where's Now, gentlemen, AWOC and the NFWA form what?
UFW.
The UFW, it stands for?
United Farm Workers.
United Farm Workers. United Farm Workers, right? Very good, right? And gentlemen, they're super important because they help out with what strike? The Delano or Delano grape strikes, right? Very good. Gentlemen, we're almost there.
Okay, I have to go.
Anybody have any more cakes? We're done?
South Asian people.
Wait, can you repeat the last one?
They fight for the United Farm Workers, right?
Can someone just send me what I missed? Oh wait, it's on the live stream.
Gentlemen, last couple things, right? Gentlemen, keep in mind, right, when we get to South Asians, right, why do they come over to the U.S.? British oppression, jobs, right? Right, we got jobs and British oppression. In particular, in class, we focus on a particular religion. Which one? Sick immigrants, right? Sick immigrants, right? Right? Those who are sick end up coming over to the United States, right? Many of those who are sick work what type of jobs, gentlemen? Work what type of jobs?
Truckers.
Right? They were truckers. They were agriculture, right? Now, gentlemen, for those who are sick, right? For those who are sick, right?
Medicine.
Bro, what is so funny?
Gentlemen, for those who are sick, right? No, I'm not talking about ill, right? For those who are sick, right? Many of them were discriminated against. Does anyone remember what type of laws that banned interracial marriage?
Miscegenation.
Anti-miscegenation laws, right?
I just searched it up.
Anti-miscegenation laws. In addition to that, gentlemen, you also had what law that also affected the Japanese? The Alien Land Law, right? The Alien Land Law, right? Now, gentlemen, what Supreme Court case said they could not become citizens?
Oh.
We just learned this.
I know.
What law said that sick men could not be U.S. citizens? Henry? Yes, U.S. versus Finn.
Oh! Because even though Finn was Caucasian, he wasn't white.
Yep.
But that ruling was a direct opposition to the Ozawa case, which ruled that even though he was white, he wasn't Caucasian.
Very good. Good. U.S. versus Finn.
A new standard that citizens had to be white Caucasian.
Very good. Right? Very, very good. Right? Now, gentlemen, what we're gonna do, right, is also talk a little bit about a sort of specific law that banned, or shall we say, barred those who were South Asian from coming over. Does anyone remember that name? Very good. Right? Asiatic Barred Zone Act. Right? It's very similar to what law that bans the Chinese? Chinese Exclusion Act. Very good. Right? Now, gentlemen, there was also one other law, right? Or one other a big thing that we talked about, not a law. But, gentlemen, we talked a little bit about syncretic culture when it came to the sick men. Anyone remember what the syncretic culture was? Yes. Right? they married Mexican women to own land. Right? They married Mexican women to own land. They created what culture again? Syncretic culture. Right? They created syncretic culture. Right? Now, gentlemen, I'm going to do a little preview. We're going to talk a little bit about this in class next time. But, gentlemen, does anyone know, right? There was a specific visa that you're allowed to apply for, right?
H1B1.
What? Not HIV.
H1B1.
Oh, am I back? There we go. I think we're back. Right. Alrighty, gentlemen. Last thing, right? After we finish our chapter on South Asians, we will jump into Vietnamese refugees really fast. Gentlemen, does anyone know what the difference is between a refugee and an immigrant? Refugee and an immigrant. I will take Dexter.
Refugees are escaping war.
Good, Liam.
Yeah, I was gonna say like refugees are like kind of forced to come there because they're like trying to escape something bad.
Yeah, right. Refugees are forced to come. On the other hand, immigrants choose to come. So that's the big major difference between refugees and immigrants, right? We're going to talk a little bit about how a war, right, really pushed the Vietnamese to become refugees and move over to the United States. Anyone remember the name of this war? This one's pretty obvious. Vietnam War, right? Very good. Gentlemen, tomorrow's stuff, whatever you learn tomorrow, right, or on Wednesday, will be on the final, right? Now, gentlemen, keep in mind, it should be relatively fresh in your mind, right? So that's why we're not going to go over it today in our big review session, right? But you'll learn about important terms like the fall of Saigon. You'll learn about important terms of why the Vietnamese ended up coming over to the United States, so on and so forth. Okay? Yes or no?
It's like Afghanistan and like
Ooh, yes, gentlemen. I lied really fast. Afghan refugees. I lied, Afghan refugees. Really quickly, gentlemen, really quickly. Why did the Afghan want to come? Hudson. Yes, the Taliban, right? Gentlemen, the Afghans also created a different ethnic enclave. Does anyone remember what this enclave was called and where it was located? JJ, Little Kabul, right? Where was it located? Fremont.
I was thinking about that.
Little Kabul and Fremont, right? So, gentlemen, really quickly.
Wait, what is it called?
Little Kabul, Fremont.
Little
right?
Kabul?
Yes. Now, gentlemen, those who are Afghans integrate into the United States. They do not assimilate, but they integrate. Gentlemen, what is the difference between assimilation and integration? What is the difference between assimilation and integration? Liam?
Assimilation is where like give up part of your culture to like kind of like blend in,
Mhm.
but like integration is like where like the culture kind of like combine.
Yeah. Right, very good. Gentlemen, assimilation is when you give up parts of your culture to become more like the majority. Integration, on the other hand, is when you integrate. In other words, you keep your own culture, but then you take parts of the majority culture and you it becomes sort of part of your culture, right? Henry. Thank you. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor, right? We are now officially done. Thank you to those who stuck alive on the live stream. I'm sorry that took a little longer than usual, but we got through all 3.5 hours of the study session. I hope that you are using this as a good resource. We will end the stream there. Thanks, everyone. I will post these pictures online. I will post these pictures on Canvas, so hang on just tight. I will make sure I get that out ASAP. And no, I am not doing a backflip.
Nicholas, please wait for me. I can't leave my own. I'm scared of the dark. Thank you.